In Southern California's Little Saigon, Vivian Lee is afraid after watching the news about racist attacks in the U.S.
I'm worried about my mom.
Police data collected from 16 U.S. cities found a 164% increase in attacks on people of Asian descent in the first quarter of this year compared to the same period in 2020.
I don't think there's anything new with the kind of racism that's been targeted at Asian Pacific Islander. I think the only thing that is unique about the situation is that the mainstream media, mainstream community is now talking about it.
Whether it's on social media or on the streets, Asian Americans are now talking about racism and being crime targets after years of relative silence.
When I was a teenager, my family and I, living in San Jose at the time, were victims to an attempted home invasion robbery. And my parents didn't want to report it to the police because they were afraid of retaliation, because they were concerned with the language barrier.
Tin Ho came to the U.S. with his parents as Vietnamese refugees. Now a prosecutor, he points to another reason for underreporting attacks: distrust of the government. But now Asian Americans are reporting incidents of racism at higher rates. Since March of 2020, more than 6,600 racist incidents against Asians have been reported to the Stop AAPI Hate website in 12 languages.
We don't know necessarily if there's been a surge. We just know it's clearly widespread.
Many Asian Americans blame former President Donald Trump's rhetoric on COVID-19
to the Chinese virus
for the current spate of racist acts.
So the fear, the economic distress, the frustration over being quarantined for an entire year, all that anger and fear is now being directed towards Asians. People have to find a scapegoat. And last year, the administration scapegoated Chinese people.
But Asian Americans of all backgrounds, often seen as a monolithic group, have been targets of pandemic-related abuse.
But people are using racial lenses to perceive us and then to interact with us.
Some Asian immigrants are also examining perceptions within their own communities about other ethnicities.
No matter what, there's always going to be this underlying tension of we don't understand them, we don't like them as much because we don't understand them, or they're somehow slightly different.
I think at the end of the day, we share a lot more in common than we have differences.
Many Asian Americans are now finding commonality with the Black Lives Matter movement. Vivian Lee has organized a rally for racial justice, something that would be impossible in Vietnam.
It's very hard because the police will come and will ask people to leave. To be in U.S., I think we have freedom to do whatever we want. The peaceful rally will be protected by the police.
Despite the fear of racially motivated attacks, Lee says she's grateful for a better, freer life in the U.S. Elizabeth Lee, VOA News, Westminster, California.